Hello and welcome. I'm Sam Califer, your host for Vision, the show all about the College of Arts and Sciences. Today I'm joined by Dr. Kelly Moser. She has many titles. She is an associate professor in the Department of Classical and Modern Languages and Literatures. She also serves as the graduate coordinator there, and she has an appointment in the dean's office. But recently she was awarded the Grisham Master Teacher Award, which is the highest teaching honor here at State. So I wanted to have her on to talk about that award and some of the cool projects she's working on. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I love having you on. You do so much great work for our teachers and students, and so I just wanted to highlight some of that. And to start, one of the projects that you started this semester, it sounds like so fun but engaging for students as well. It's the Bulldog Explorers Program. It's for students in the broader Starkville community. And so I would just love to hear more about the Bulldog Explorers Program and how did you get it up and running?
Yeah, so Bulldog Explorers grew out of a community engagement initiative. Sure. So I was one of the fellows for the university as far as community engagement, and as part of that, we created this portion of the project that connects to one of my courses. So this particular course trains future foreign language teachers, and so I wanted to figure out how I could connect that course to the local community, and that's what brought Bulldog Explorers.
Sure.
And the idea with Bulldog Explorers is really to increase access to languages and cultures, particularly for children between the ages of 6 and 12, because there are so few programs like that, you know, for young kids, not just here in Mississippi, but across the country.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, what is it? What's in the box that they get? I guess?
So it is, you know, when you think of those subscription programs that a lot of families sign up for, and every month you get a box of something.
Right.
So the idea here is that children and their families get to travel the world.
Oh, sure.
So every month there is a different country that's featured and a particular person from that country that works in the Department of Classical and Modern Languages and Literatures. And that person walks them through several different activities.
Sure.
So they're going to, you know, when they went to the Dominican Republic, they got to learn a little bit of Spanish about how to talk about their likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
They get to create recipes, learn new dances, and then we've really started emphasizing the connection to elementary school curriculum.
Sure.
So they'll learn about Mississippi history, for example, and they'll use map skills, and then we connect that to the Maya, for example, in Guatemala. So just to think about history as far as, you know, indigenous peoples.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I actually am a huge fan of those subscription boxes. My wife and I do like the murder mystery boxes, and so it is fun. You don't know what you're going to get, but you get to open it up and read through it all. And so, you know, and I think science would show this, and there's a lot of educational philosophers who's like, when education is so engaging like that, like the curiosity can lead, it opens the world up, and that's really what education should look like. And so anyway, so it's this really holistic approach to education. So I would love to hear more about your teaching philosophy and how did that inform the creation of this program? Yeah,
well, I'm a huge fan of application as far as knowledge is concerned.
Sure.
When I'm a Spanish teacher and I'm a former high school teacher.
Right.
And I think whenever we think about foreign language classes, you often hear people say, oh, well, I spent years learning Spanish and now I can't use it, right? So I think my philosophy as far as language teaching is concerned is really how do we make that shift from just that four-walled classroom to using language outside.
Right.
And language is just, it's a critical part of someone's identity. So how can we learn more about the world around us by communicating in different languages?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, you know, my philosophy is how can I get children who may never have left, you know, Starkville, Mississippi, to have access to other languages and cultures and recognize that there are real people living here in Starkville from those different places.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to notice. It's like, you know, there's all types of people even here in Starkville, and when they grow up and get a job or go to college, they'll encounter all different types of people. And so just to already have that exposure, I think is so great. Yeah, and like you said, I remember getting assigned a random project. I had to work on Alaska when I was like in first grade, and I still remember so many things from that because you're so impressionable when you're young like that, and it can be fun. So. Yeah, I think that's such an awesome project. It shows a lot of creativity, but it fills a need as well. And so I think that's a good example of why you might have won something like a Grisham Master Teacher Award. And so I would love to talk about that more. You know, you've had a week or two to reflect on winning that award. What does it mean to you to win that? And now when you're thinking over your career, like what kind of challenges and experiences maybe led you on this journey?
Sure. Well, I think I am the teacher I am because of the experiences I had as a student. You know, good and bad experiences.
Right.
But I was fortunate that I started studying Spanish at a young age. And then continued that through college. And I remember my very first, time that I actually left the U.S. to use Spanish. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't understand anything that anyone is saying.
Right.
And that completely changed how I wanted to teach. I realized that everything I wanted to do in my classroom needed to prepare my students to be able to communicate with real people, not just me, their teacher.
Yeah.
And then I think, as far as the Grisham Master Teacher Award is concerned, that is absolutely the highlight of my entire professional journey.
Sure.
My expertise is pedagogy, so the science of teaching and learning.
Right.
So to be recognized, for exceptional teaching, and then to be able to share, that with other people in Mississippi State, particularly through the Dean's Office position.
Right.
Is really a true honor.
Yeah, I mean, I know that is your background. You're not just a Spanish teacher, but you're always thinking about pedagogy. How can you help other teachers teach better? And so to be given that award, I'm sure is such a great highlight. Yeah, and so great. And yeah, maybe we could talk. We've got a lot of time. What else are you doing in that role in the Dean's office? Is there a new project that you're working on, or how's all that going?
Yeah, so this past year I've led an initiative called Teams, so Teaching Excellence and Motivating Success.
Sure.
So the idea is that we have a group of exceptional teachers who went through the Center for Teaching and Learning's Maroon Academy.
Sure.
And we have been working specifically with a few departments on a teaching-related focus area.
Sure.
So the Department of Physics, for example, we observed all of their Physics 1 classes.
Wow.
In chemistry, we observed all of the general chem classes, plus the recitation sections. And I think sometimes, in particular, when you're outside of that discipline and you're just watching it for what is happening as far as teaching and learning,
right.
And you're not focusing necessarily on the content part, you're really able to step back and give some some really great strategies to teachers who may be struggling or haven't reflected necessarily on what they've been doing in the classroom.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I've been doing with the Dean's office. I think as well as getting faculty used to having visitors in their classroom.
Right.
We're kind of, in a way, like insular silos.
Yes.
And so to say, hey, you're always welcome to come to one of my classes too. This class might be great today and it might not be so great. And that's okay, because this part of observation and feedback is just a natural cycle of learning how to teach better.
Right. Yeah, there's so much background work that goes into creating a community of educators, and it's people, students see their individual teachers in that classroom, but yeah, I really appreciate that you have collected this team who are just trying to improve the education and give those resources to people who might need it. And yeah, I think when you're in the classroom, it's so easy not to reflect or think about how can I improve it. You kind of just get into a routine of things because you're busy. And so you need that extra support outside of the classroom, an objective but compassionate eye who can, just help you improve it. And so I think that's so great. It's such important work, and it shows why, a place like the College of Arts and Sciences has that excellence in teaching. There's people like you and everyone on your team who, is going the extra mile to make sure that the education is good. So such cool work. And as we wrap up this interview, it's hard to be an educator. I think it's always been a difficult job, but especially in this day and age, there's so many challenges. What words of advice or encouragement would you give to our educators out there?
Well, I would say teaching is a phenomenal career. Always start, really with where your students are. What are their interests? What's relevant to them?
Right.
Always try to make learning, applicable beyond the classroom. And never hesitate to ask for help when you need it.
Right.
We're a community of educators. We need one another to do our jobs well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's important, and in a place like State, the resources are there. So all you need to do is reach out. There's someone like you, who's willing to help. And teaching it's such a fulfilling career. People go into it with the best intentions, but it can be overwhelming. And so I think that's why these kind of initiatives are important. But I was so happy when I heard about the Bulldog Explorers Program. It's fun, it's different.
Honestly, that has been, it's work, but it's something that I have so enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I have a 10-year-old daughter, so she's kind of the one who I try everything out.
Yeah.
And I may be creating a teacher here in the future because she has loved making all of these things.
Yeah.
Too.
I'm sure there's plenty of students out there who have worked on these boxes, and it's something that will stick with them kind of as they age. And so just such awesome work. And, so much of the hard work is behind the scenes, but I think getting this award or getting to talk about it here in an interview, that it just goes to show that it's so important. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So great. And thank you all for listening to this episode of Vision. We'll see you next time.